Welcome to the week of wrestling. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss. I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Payne. How's it going, man?
It's been pretty good, honestly. Been one hell of a week. I mean, it's just the start of the week, but I mean, honestly, I kind of wish it's Friday already.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I'm ready for 2K24 to come out, so the days are slowly coming up. But we had a hell of an event Sunday night, which was AEW Revolution 2024 from the Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina, aka Sting's final match. I am super excited to get into the show. This is your review for AEW Revolution 2024. So overall, let's give our overall thoughts on the show first, and then we'll go into specifics of each of the matches. Ryan, do you want to start with your overall thoughts on AEW Revolution?
Well, I do want to say that this pay per view is a really good kickoff for their. I mean, sure they've kicked. So they've done some good week. They've actually given some good weekly programming. But as far as the pay per view is concerned, this is actually a good one to kick off to really set the bar from how the rest of their pay per views are going to go for the rest of this year. And honestly, the card was not a disappointment. There were some matches that felt maybe were going on a little too long that should have been shortened to sacrifice for other matches. But there's really no true complaints. Some criticisms, but not any big complaints.
Mm-hmm. I thought this was a perfect pay-per-view when it comes to what AEW does very well, which is in-ring storytelling and in-ring match quality. I think almost every single match on this card, barred one, in my opinion, delivered. And I think what's great is they do give their matches a lot of time, and they let them develop and simmer and tell stories in the ring. I think this is a perfect example of that. I do wish that Tony Khan bought a little more pay-per-view time so Sting could have his full farewell thing on pay-per-view and not have to be cut off so short at the end of it.
Well,
But I'm glad they put it on all on YouTube for free, though.
I mean, I do agree. I wish there was some more time, but then also at the same time, when it comes to business, when they buy a lot of time for their pay per view, the last thing they want to deal with is the sponsors or the people in charge. I mean, I don't know about fining her, so, but it's just kind of like once they have a set time, it's there. I see fans were complaining about that. I'm like, guys, if you remember during the stuff with UFC, WWE when they had pay per views, or when you watch boxing matches, and even the old days of WCW. There's always an issue where they just can't buy more time during the match. I mean, during the show, they just have to make do what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the first All In, they had to speed the last match. The Bucks had to speed up the last match because they knew they were running short on time. To me, like I said, there are some matches that maybe should have been shortened. Because if that was the case, then definitely we would have gotten more opportunity for that finale. But also, I'll say that last match, there was definitely some stunts that definitely took up some time, but we will get to that soon.
Yeah, so let's open up the card. Huge sold out arena in the Greensboro Coliseum. We open up the night with the TNT Championship match. The champion, Christian Cage, taking on Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia got a hell of a pop when he came out. So good to see. This match went 16 minutes and 50 seconds, and it was a perfect amount of time for an opening contest.
Yeah.
With not a lot of build, but they told a great story in the ring, and that is of Christian being such a good heel and faking an injury, rolling out of the ring, playing mind games, only for Daniel Garcia to come back and actually target an injury and target the knee of Christian, setting up the Dragon Tamer is what he calls the sharpshooter. Really great close near falls, especially one where Christian goes for the spear, his knee gives out, and Garcia hits a pile driver. I thought that was it. Very, very great kick out, and the match ends with Garcia on the ropes, and then Nick Wayne, who had been taken out earlier in the match, hitting a kind of a Wayne's World on the ropes.
I thought it was just an uppercut, honestly, what it looked like.
No, he kind of hit him with a cutter So it's a version of the
Okay.
Wayne's World.
Oh yeah, I'm from the Wayne's World. I know that.
Yeah, and then Christian hits the kill switch for the victory. I think it was a great match to open up the card. What are your thoughts on the TNT Championship match?
This was a good match to open it up, and also it's saying a lot in the story as well. I know some people are gonna go with Christian's playing the cowardly heel because he had so many people helping him, but
That's
here's
the
the thing:
point, though.
not just the point as well, but it also makes Daniel look very strong in that match. Because if we look back at Daniel at his run from the Continental Classic, just him in one-on-one matches, how much it took to put him down, and then him slowly becoming the underdog that they're making him out to be. He still looks very strong because yes, Nick Wayne gets thrown out, then Kill Switch gets taken out by Matt Menard, and then it takes Nick Wayne coming back to beat him. But the thing was that all of these happened at crucial moments where Christian thought he had the match won. And then when they came back, it was where Christian was nearly very close to losing, or Daniel was about to put Christian away. So really looking at that match, while people can just go, oh, this just feels like a regular match I'd see on WWE. Well, yeah, that's your opinion. And yeah, sometimes wrestling can be the same in the style they build their matches. But this one made me see Daniel Garcia more as the underdog they're building him as, especially not only after the pile driver, but also when he was going to go up top and Killstretch stops him, and then seeing Daniel Garcia looking to use that sharpshooter. Like, it took a lot out of Christian. And sure, Christian, when he does his promo, he's going to talk about how he conquered, how he outsmarted and beat Daniel Garcia. But it really does make me feel that either a rematch is happening down the road between these two, or Daniel Garcia. This was just a taste for Daniel Garcia, at least for AEW singles gold, to where they might put him on a bigger platform against another opponent, another champion.
Yeah, so I'll say this right off the bat because I know a lot of people know my feelings on the Roman Reigns title matches. Now they end in the exact same way, and people are going to compare this to what Roman Reigns is doing. And I'll say this: if Christian keeps doing this in title matches, then yes, I'll feel the same way. But Christian can win matches on his own, and he has defended the title on his own before. So I am okay with Christian, using his family for help. When in Roman's case, Roman claims to be the head of the table, but he needs his family's help. Christian never claims to be, this all-powerful, character. He is his character is made to be someone who goes for the low-hanging fruit, the dead father, the things like that, the cowardly heel. It works more when you tell the story that way. And Christian, in unlike Roman, who in every single match it's the same outcome, Christian knows how to change it up some.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even before he was building with his patriarchy, even before he started having Killswitch in his corner, Christian was at least was always having different methods on how to win. And then Nick Wayne came in, and then Mama Wayne came in. Especially in that feud with Adam Copeland, you do see that even when he had people there, Christian still lost. But that's just grips, and that's just like small bolts compared to this whole match that happened in front of us. And I definitely enjoyed it. I do think Daniel Garcia is set for big things. I personally wanted to see them pull that trigger on him, but sometimes some wrestlers need to at least give him that spotlight to see if the people are behind them. That pop showed that entrance; they were behind him. The whole people wanting him to dance, that's also a good sign, but it's really like
the
it's
fact that
the
fact that Garcia got such a pop when he danced he put his crotch right in Christian's face and just did the dance on the top rope was amazing.
Oh, that was enjoyable. Yeah, like Daniel Garcia, he's even teasing out that dance. He is finding ways to really get the crowd going. He's learning. Well, I'm not saying he's learning, but he's really testing out where to get the crowd to really build that and then
does it
exactly.
Yep. All right, so predictions wise, I got this one right with Christian Cage. You went with Daniel Garcia, so I'm up 1 point in the predictions. All right, we move on.
I already know my score.
All right, our next match is for the Continental Crown Championship. The champion Eddie Kingston defends against Bryan Danielson. I almost said Daniel Bryan, but I didn't. I corrected myself there. By the way, I love what they did in the backstage skits of this. Instead of having Danielson and Kingston do interviews, they had them do it previously, and then had Renee and Lexi, kind of recite what they were saying, and in the background you see Eddie and Bryan training. It felt more sports based, like a UFC type thing, where they'd have interviewers in the back, and if you look in the background, you see the fighters training.
Mm-hmm.
I like that aspect of it, and I really hope they continue to do this more and more. It gives it a really great sports atmosphere to it.
Well, it does look like that's where he's like Tony. He wants to turn into that direction. Even then, earlier on, I remember earlier days with AEW, they really were trying to be simply like a mixture of indie sports with a little bit of that New Japan feel. But I think later on, of course, during their years, they tried to lean more towards the way that WWE presented themselves. It was a hit and go. It was touch and go, hit and miss. But clearly, this works better because then they can really create their own flow and their own vibe. And I definitely love that having Lexi there, just like talk, while Bryan Danielson just back there warming himself up, and then you got Eddie in the back there with Renee Paquette, which kind of works more towards Eddie because during the Continental Crown, Eddie was always like, "No, I'm not talking. I'm just gonna go out and fight." Mm-hmm. This one definitely felt more of a progression, at least character-wise, and definitely more in a little bit into the story. Like interviewers, they're not gonna talk to Eddie. They're just gonna do their thing, let Eddie get in that mental state and get out there.
Yeah, and it makes so much sense that it was Renee who kind of did the interview with Eddie Kingston, considering their history that Eddie has with John Moxley. So that kind of ties in as well. This match fucking ruled, man. They, as always, when you put Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson in the ring, they will beat the fuck out of each other. And that's what we got. We got some great near falls, some great Busaiku knees from Danielson. And Eddie Kingston getting his win with the powerbomb, man. So good to see him.
Same powerbomb he used to beat Claudio to become the Ring of Honor champion.
Yep. And I love the fact that, Bryan at first was like, "No, I'm not going to shake your hand." And then he's like, "Okay, I'm going to inherit to the Code of Honor." I love Nigel McGuinness on commentary saying, if Bryan doesn't do this, he's spitting in the face of what we created with Ring of Honor. And I'm like, that's such great storytelling by Nigel McGuinness. Overall, I really, really love this match.
It's not just a great match as well, but it's also another storytelling happening there. Because looking at the best of three that happened between the two of them, those two fights they had in the Continental Crown. The first time, Danielson really not taking Kingston that seriously, that led to him beating him. The second time, he wasn't taking him seriously again, which led Eddie to get the best of Bryan. And Bryan was just like off his game because he was surprised that Kingston kept coming back. And then you see in this one, not only is he mentally prepared, but he's also ready to take down Kingston, because you do see him. He's targeting his hand that he uses for the back fist. He's trying to isolate certain body parts of Kingston so Kingston doesn't do the Saito suplex or an exploder suplex that he did on Danielson that knocked him off his game in the second fight in the Continental Classic. Danielson was doing everything he can to surgically take apart Eddie, so then when he's able to either put him in submission or use a Busaiku knee, Eddie would have no energy to get back up. And those moments when Eddie really was using his hand that was hurt, you really do see him really selling the fact that, God, like he just hit his hand against a concrete wall or against a steel pillar. Like Eddie did everything in his power to show that Danielson is a hard hitter. And honestly, I would have to say Danielson was selling, and definitely every time you see when you're going against Kingston, two things are going to happen. Your chest is going to get red, and then either Kingston is just going to scream his head off and then knock your head off completely. And I saw two of those things happen in this match.
Yep, and the one thing I really loved about this match was the story going into it of who's going to play the mind games more with each other. So you had Bryan, who the reason he lost to Kingston in the Continental Classic was because, one, he didn't take him seriously, and two, he was kind of resting on his laurels. He was fighting Eddie Kingston's fight. He was using strikes, but he should have been taking him down and using his superior grappling skills. In this match, even the commentary brought it up, Kingston is really good at getting opponents to fight his type of fight. He is
Exactly.
good at bringing people down to chop them, to have them chop him back so that he can get fired up and bring in strikes back and turn it into a striking fest.
Hmm.
Eddie got in Brian's head so bad that Brian started playing Eddie's game, and at the end, it cost him the match.
And that's why you do see, at least in this kickoff of this one, Brian was so focused on making sure that he's playing his game until when it did finally get down to Brian doing those kicks on Eddie, like when Eddie was sitting up and Brian started doing those kicks. The moment Eddie started getting that look on his face, is like, "You serious?" or "You're pissing him off." That's
Yeah.
what Brian. I love that. I loved how Danielson's realizing, "Oh no, I got to hit harder. I need to hit harder before he gets back up." None of it was working until Eddie started getting back up, and then, once Eddie but that's how this was, like, psychological warfare between the two of these men.
Exactly. So, yeah, I really love this match. So let's move on to a match that I think was actually the weakest on the card, and that
But I
is
should say
the
that we came with the predictions for Kingston and Dance, and we both got it right with Kingston winning.
Yes, we both got that right with Eddie Kingston. I think this is kind of the weaker match of the night. I do love the crowd interaction, though. The meat chants are hilarious, and I popped so hard for the mini meat chant.
I honestly thought I needed to get my ears checked when I was hearing. Are they saying mini meats or little meats?
Mini meats, yes.
That's what I was hearing. Those mini meats was funny.
But overall, this would have been better as a do the Meat Madness, but do it as a 4-way match. Do Wardlow, Hobbs, Archer, and Brian Cage. Do it a fatal 4-way match and just say, hey, go out there, number one contender on the line, and just have a meat match. Just power it out. I think adding Jericho and adding Magnus and Dante Martin really took away from what this match
8 men. You're
could have been.
forgetting one more person.
Yeah, so it was Jericho. Oh, I'm sorry, Hook, Magnus, and Dante Martin. Adding those 4, as much as I like a few of these guys, it really took away from what this spectacle match could have been. And there was a moment where they tried to do the all 4 guys on corners doing the suplex spot.
Suplex is one at a time, and it took a lot of time on there.
You could see Brian Cage holding Hook for so long in the corner on camera that it felt very awkward. Like, I knew what they were doing, but it felt very awkward in execution. I feel like this would have been so much better as just a regular 4-way match.
I do agree with you. This is one of the matches I thought needed too much time was devoted to it. The time needed to be shortened because I did like the meat chance. I liked that all 4 of those men were doing their own test of strengths, and then the mini meat match, that was great. But then when it came to them doing those dives, Dante Martin nearly like tripping up on the ropes when he went to that dive out there. Twice. Yeah, I was about to say again. Now, I get Dante Martin, he is a fast wrestler, and he has a certain way of working things, but because this was 8 men in here, it's clear there was time constraints for everyone to get a certain spot in. That's why I was like, why expand it? I mean, even if you weren't going to get the men that you wanted in there, because Tony Khan said Miro was one of the guys he wanted to be involved in this match.
And Keith Lee as well.
Yeah, but both of them couldn't do it because of injury. So... Well, re-aggravated injuries that happened to the both of them. So that's acceptable. But the 4-way match still would have worked. You still have a story. You have a story there with Wardlow wanting to, not only going for the AEW championship, but in those promos that he has made on Dynamite and Collision shows that this man is motivated. And then you have that little history he has with Hobbs there in the ring. Sure, Brian Cage and Archer are the wild cards, but it kind of works in their favor too. Because let's just say if Swerve, let's just say when this match happened, let's say if Swerve didn't win, you get Brian Cage getting number one contendership, meaning the Mogul Embassy will still have a shot at the championship. And with Archer, that's the story there because he's been with the company at the start and he hasn't gotten his opportunity. He only had 1 shot at the AEW World Championship. He hasn't gotten back up on that cloud again.
Yeah.
All 4 of these men had opportunities, and that's a good story that you can build there while doing your meat chance. And then yes, the suplex spot that did take a lot of time, and then also the other guys that we're trying to do, and I know Magnus, he was definitely one of the wild cards there, but it was kind of nice to see some more inclusion of CMLL wrestlers involved. I'm liking this partnership that Tony is having with CMLL.
Mhm.
Really broadening out there, sure, he's kind of the wrestler where everyone's gonna go, who's this guy? Yeah, okay, you don't know who he is. You can either quickly look up on your phone who he is or just watch the match. And he just did not get enough time to really be to spotlight what he can do in this match. And Hook also looked very out of place in this match, not because of his size, but because there were moments where he was clearly not used to the style of match. Because
Mhm.
I saw times where he was tying up with Jericho, where he was like in a part one-on-one across of him. He wanted to rush and get his stuff in, but Jericho had to honestly stop him a few times, be like, wait for it, and then go. So a four-way match would have been much better, because then you have you can set the time limit to maybe be 15 minutes for all four of these guys to work. And honestly, Jericho didn't need to be in this match too. This could have been one of the free pay-per-views we didn't need Jericho involved in. It would have been fine.
Yeah.
Nothing against Jericho, but clearly, he really did seem out of place in this one.
Yeah, so this match went 15 minutes and 45 seconds. So
Yeah,
every
have been cut.
yeah, decent amount of time. This would have been so much better as a four-way match, but I'm glad that Wardlow got a spotlight. Wardlow wins. He gets a number one contender shot. So let's move on to our next contest, which is, oh, by the way, All-Star Scramble. I picked the right winner with Wardlow. You win Powerhouse Hobbs, which, again, great selection. Well, now we move on.
Yep.
International Championship match. Champion Orange Cassidy takes on Roderick Strong. This match only went 12 minutes and 45 seconds. I think you could have shaved a little bit off that scramble match and gave them a full 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because this match was great.
Yeah, there really could have been more moments in this match for Roderick to really let loose, to really target more of the taped up back and ribs of Orange Cassidy.
Yep.
Because it was clear here that this was a plan coming into fruition that Roderick Strong has set up since he started going after Orange Cassidy.
I love the long-term storytelling of, like, the Undisputed Kingdom gets founded, and the first thing they say is Roderick Strong's going after Orange Cassidy. Adam Cole says that on commentary on the mic, and they set this plan into motion. They take out every member of the best friends. They take out Rocky. They take out Trent. They take out Chuck, and then throughout the weeks, they've started beating down and taking out Orange Cassidy week after week, targeting that back, because Roderick Strong is the Messiah, the backbreaker, so he has something to target. I like how smart and methodical they're making the Undisputed Kingdom, and I feel like if Adam Cole was healthy, it would have been this faction would have been so much betterly booked. But I think giving Roddy this title is a great first step into creating a full dominant heel faction.
I'm actually on the opposite interview. I mean, I think having Adam still being injured is kind of a good way to put more of the focus on Roderick and Wardlow, honestly, since both men really are shining right now. Roderick, I mean, I did mention our predictions. I missed the comedy gimmick he did, but this part of him is still fantastic. And then him having the spotlight going after Orange, because one thing you can say about this championship match, not only was this like Roderick staying true to a plan that he was executing, but also in a storyline, you can say this is also on Orange Cassidy for ignoring doctors' recommendations to not wrestle. Him constantly going out there defending the championship when honestly there were some times where he didn't have to. And so it's clear, and it does show there that the wear and tear on his body caught up with him again. It's kind of like his first run all over. Like, you're putting yourself out there, you're taking too much risk to where a more physically, not physically stronger, but a more physically capable opponent was able to beat him. Like Jon Moxley beat him at All Out. This happened again with Roderick Strong, to where this time Orange Cassidy was just not completely 100 to beat him.
Yeah, I love the first backbreaker he hit, Roddy hit, was this kind of suplex out into a backbreaker. I love the different ways he can connect the backbreaker.
Yeah. Oh, that gut wrench on the
Oh
turnbuckle.
my god, was it sick! I'm
The
not saying
way that give props to both of them for how they for Roderick executing that, holding to his core, and then just that jump off into right on the top. Luckily, thank God, Cassidy didn't hit the post or anything like that.
Dude, Cassidy hits the ropes and then bounces off, and you see him like roll on his shoulder.
Oof.
It was sick, but this match was really, really great. Then at the end of the match, we have a freaking Kyle O'Reilly appears. That was awesome, man.
He looked like he had just came from a oh my god, cross fitness in the woods. Honestly, the way he's dressed,
dude, he looks so great.
He looks so
like, health-wise.
I mean, he's healthy as hell. I'm great. Yeah, neck injury's gone, but the way he's looking when he came in there with that mean mugging, man, he was just so unhinged.
So that gets me wondering because Kyle O'Reilly appears, he hugs Strong, and they try to give him the shirt, but he gives it back to him and whispers something in Strong's ear. Another story thread. Are we going to see a reunion of these Strong, Cole, and O'Reilly?
I honestly doubt we're gonna see another story like that. I think this is more of kind of like maybe Kyle wants to at least be on his own a bit, because with Kyle, when he does a promo, a part of me thinks his promo is gonna be the first time I came to AEW, I immediately aligned myself with Adam, and while it was fine, I ended up getting hurt, or I didn't get to really be fully realized. Maybe in this situation, he's like, I don't want to immediately align myself with Adam again. Even though Roderick, Mike, and Matt are my best friends, I kind of want to really be on my own right now. Or maybe at least, see if he still, shake loose the ring rust. Oh, I think we just lost Hunter for a second, but I will just go on to add my complete thoughts on Kyle being back. It's great to see him back. Of course, I've seen some reactions. Some people think, is this going to be the start of a feud between Roderick and Kyle? It doesn't have to be. It can just be a nice, fun story thread for Kyle to, really go out on his own, get some wins racked up, and then maybe... And of course, we're definitely going to see, Matt, Mike, and Roderick going to approach Kyle and maybe like a weekly Dynamite or Collision.
Yeah, so I'm good. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. I really hope this leads to Strong versus O'Reilly for the international title, because I think if Kyle O'Reilly, works his way up through the rankings, chooses to go after Roddy, because again, if you reach the top 5, you could choose to go for either the international, TNT, or world title. Yeah. And he gets number 5. He chooses to go for Roddy because they have that history there. Then you start a really good feud, and hell, maybe you have, O'Reilly take the title off of him to really cement this return as, hey, I am a force that never got to really shine here, but now I'm on my own. Like, there's no, Bobby Fish here for me to hold down an attack team.
Dragon happening.
Yeah, so I have to. It's now sink or swim for me, and this is what he's putting the pressure on himself for.
Yeah. And Kyle can even see in his promos, he's done there's been 2 times where he's been sink or swim on my own. He's been a Ring of Honor he's been a Ring of Honor television champion and a world champion in Ring of Honor. He was able before he got fucked, whatever happened to him on NXT, he was set to be a top title contender on NXT. So Kyle knows he is worth something on his own. I guess this is just he can do it where like I'm picking back up where I left off all those years ago in Ring of Honor. It's wherever Kyle's going to go with this story, it's going to be very interesting. And also this works as well, so they don't immediately try to I think after Revolution, there was a quick promo with the Undisputed Era. I mean, wow. The
Undisputed Kingdom. That's fine.
I dropped NXT and I just mixed those. But there was a quick promo from the Undisputed Kingdom where Matt and Mike were going like, oh, okay, Kyle didn't give us. That's fine. We're not going to blow our load. We're not going to be like anything else and blow all our load at once. We're going to take our time with this. And then that was kind of like a good line there because it does say to me that they're not going to quickly make build this huge faction. I think they're going to take their time with at least those 5 men, and depending on when Adam does come back, because when Adam comes back, he's immediately going to insert himself as the de facto top guy for the title. Even
Yeah.
though, so Wardlow does have that number one contendership. Who knows where that's going to lead to? So if you do bring Kyle involved, last thing we want is to see him and Wardlow kind of like butt heads for who wants to go for the world title.
Dude, I will not lie. If Cole takes the title from either it's Joe or whoever it is, if Adam Cole gets the title this year and they set up a rivalry between Cole and O'Reilly again, they will produce fireworks, man. They did it in NXT.
Yeah, 100%. This time it'll be much better because, I mean, I'm not going to say it wasn't. It'll be better with the title involved because then they can actually use those histories to work.
Yeah. So for this one, we both picked Roderick Strong. So now let's move on to another banger of a match, man. A lot of solid matches on this card, which is FTR taking on Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli of the Blackpool Combat Club. This is a fantastic match, and I knew it would be because these guys just have some really unique chemistry with each other, which is, hey, let's get in the ring, beat the shit out of each other, and let's, just go out and have an old school wrestling match, which is This is what this was in Greensboro, in the Coliseum, which is known for these great tag team feuds. And speaking of Moxley and Claudio coming out with the LOD shoulder pads, fantastic touch. This match went 21 minutes and 50 seconds, and they used every single moment of that. This was a fantastic match. Thoughts on this match before we get into details?
Yeah. Look, to me, it felt like they really weren't going to top that draw that happened there. But what they did do in this match is that they did change in the sense of the ferocity and pace that both teams went through. Claudio and Mox, they just came in there to brutalize, and then FTR, which normally as a tag team, they like to always try to work apart their opponents one piece at a time. This time they knew who they were going against, so they had to match that ferocity. So when it came time for everyone to get their spots in, it wasn't more like, we're not going to wait a little bit for us to recover. We hit you with something, we're going to pin you immediately so you don't have time to react. And you do see by some of the quick pins, especially after with when Dax had gotten busted open.
What caused him to get busted open? Was it him hitting the stairs going down?
I thought it was him hitting the stairs, or he hit a turnbuckle. I can't remember. I didn't go back on that match.
I think the commentary said it was the forearm he took, and then he fell face first onto the diamond crusted steps.
Okay, yeah. It's because the fact that they were really. The only time they did pause was when they were showing those camera moments of Dax bleeding. And actually, it was kind of surprising. Dax was in the ring more than Cash was in this match. Which normally took me by surprise. I mean, Dax is a great wrestler. He's been doing more and more fantastic work in singles matches. But I really thought than this one that it was going to be FTR focusing more on working. I mean, yeah, they're working more as a team. There's been no signs that these two are not in sync with each other. I just thought it'd be more of a balanced approach because I saw Mox and Claudio do more of the balanced approach. Like, okay, I'm in the ring. I worked this guy over. Now you're in the ring.
I think it shows that FTR, they're one of the best tag teams in the world. But when you go up against somebody who has equally great chemistry with each other because they're training partners, they're friends, they have this just ignite chemistry with each other, as in Moxley and Castagnoli, they train differently than FTR. They train, storyline wise, they train in the dungeon. Like they train on this stuff every single day. And not saying that FTR doesn't, but they have a different way of going by their training methods, and it kind of shows here. Moxley and Castagnoli, normally it's FTR who are the ones that are kind of cutting the ring in half. Now it was Moxley and Castagnoli doing that. They are leaving Cash and Dax on their side of the ring and really playing to that. It wasn't until all four men got involved when we really started seeing FTR fight back with great, tag team moves. And that's where Moxley and Castagnoli are really good, is when they can divide the ring. But once it starts breaking down, they can do that, but it gives FTR the advantage because they are natural brawlers with each other, and they want the fight to get more, out of control and frenetic. And it kind of cost them this one because Cash goes for a dive and just gets uppercutted by Castagnoli, which gives Moxley the chance to lock in the
that bulldog choke.
The bulldog choke, which then turns into a rear naked choke. And then, Castagnoli comes in, does that on Cash, and they both pass out for Moxley and Castagnoli to win. What I love is after the match, you see, like, it's not a shake of the hands or anything. It's like Moxley looks over to slight nod, and they leave the ring.
Yeah, the show of respect to them. We're kind of like in the ways like what with Moxley has been, at least with his mission statement. Like when you come to the ring, you better step up to fight. You better come at least trying to knock me on my ass. Because with Moxley this whole year, I mean, at least the start of this year, after the Continental Classic, he is more of, I'm in this to fight. And if you're not willing to step up and fight, or at least fight on my level, or at least fight with everything you have, he's going to put you in the dirt. And you do see here that on both occasions, FTR has stepped up. So I do like that fact that's Moxley acknowledging that these guys came to fight.
Yep. So, based on the predictions, I went with Blackpool Combat Club. You went with FTR. So, which we'll get to the main event in just a minute about where the tag team division is going.
Yep.
Everyone has watched the show. You know that Sting and Darby retained, so the titles are now vacant. I think they said they're doing like a March Madness tournament to determine.
They are doing a tournament. During the media scrum, Tony did address the issue. He did address immediately. They are retiring the titles. They're vacating the titles, and it's going to be put up in a tournament, which is coinciding with March. So he's saying, like, yeah, we're going to do like our own March Madness thing, which
could lead to Dynasty, which is their new pay-per-view.
Exactly, and I like that too, because we don't know if this might lead to Dynasty, but if this is the plan, if this is going to lead to Dynasty, then it's fantastic. It means tag teams are going to be the main focus of their programming from now and until April 21st, when Dynasty happens. So we're going to get maybe like 6 to 7 weeks of not complete, not every bit, but tag team wrestling is going to dominate. We'll see tag team on Dynamite, maybe some matches on Rampage, definitely some tag teaming on Collision. So that's a good way to pat things out, and for people to stop saying the tag team division is dead. It's just been stagnant. Now the focus is back in.
Yeah. But as I was saying, you got to give the edge in a tournament sense to Blackpool Combat Club. I think they are one of the. I mean, they're 10-1-1 or 11-1-1 right now. They've got to be one of the top contenders for the titles. So if you put them in a tournament setting, they're going to make every match must see.
Yeah, and especially on who is paired up against them, because then every match is going to be all about adjusting your strategies as a team. How do you go? How you're able to put Mox and Claudio on their sides, or at least to trip them up. Because it'd be very interesting to see them going up against a team like Top Flight, or to see them go up against Iron Savages, or against Dark Order, or the Righteous. It's going to be very interesting how this is going to pan out.
Exactly. All right, so let's move on to our next match. AEW Women's World Championship. Timeless Toni Storm defends against Deonna Purrazzo. I wish this match got more time. It only went 12 minutes. But it seems like this match did not get into the full third gear I wanted it to get, but it was still a very solid match for the women's title.
Yeah, it was. This was one match I thought needed more time, especially given how Dynamite has built up the storyline of the friendship that Toni and Deonna had while they were training and wrestling together overseas. And especially how they focused on that tattoo, and Toni committing so hard to her character to modify it out there.
Dude, the daggers, the stabbing of the, it's so good.
It's fantastic. And Tony has really definitely shown, like, with her new character, she is definitely committed to to really working this character. Is even the small tweaks she's made along the time, changing the way her character speaks to her character's body presentation. That
Mm.
is someone working on the bit, and it is playing out so far. Right now, I think the one thing that still needs work is how she holds the character in the ring, because there are shades where you see Tony wanting to wrestle that style that she had in Stardom, or when she was when she was wrestling in Rev Pro, like that fast, hard hitting style that made her
Mm.
so well known in the women's wrestling, and the fact that she has to slow it down. Oh,
Yeah,
we're jumping over something. We skipped over the entrance for Timeless
yeah,
Tony.
I was about to bring that up. I love this. Because I heard the Tony Storm, the original Tony Storm music, and I was like, oh, that's cool. She's going back to her original gimmick. I looked for a second, I was like, wait, that's Mariah May. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was in a bar with some fans there. When we heard that music, someone was like, "Oh my god, we're getting the old Tony Storm." But then the more they kept focused on it, I'm going, "Wait a second, her lips, the red's a little too much on the lipstick. Wait, that's Mariah."
Dude, I had told my brother, I was like, how cool would it have been if they start using Mariah May as like Tony Storm's stunt double? Like, she's this huge movie star and she needs her stunt double with her, almost like a Miz and Mizdow type thing.
Yeah. But I think I'm enjoying where the story's going right now with them. Where Mariah, I don't think she's gonna be forming completely into Tony Storm, but it's just more of she's just that dedicated to Tony. And she's like, "I'll dress up as you for you."
It's so great. But overall, this match was really well done. It was paced really well for a 12-minute match. I just wish they had more time to develop some sort of a story in the ring. The story outside the ring is great. I love stories inside the ring as well.
Yeah.
I really think that, as you were saying, Tony Storm should really start wrestling more of a old school style. I think how cool it would be if her gimmick was kind of emulating, women's wrestling of the past.
Yeah, like Mae Young, like that style of wrestling,
Yeah,
Wendy
and
Richter.
she starts using.
She keeps dropping Wendy Richter. I mean, I think she did try to do that at World's End. The problem is just because
Riho didn't mix with her well.
Exactly. I think that's why the pairing with Deanna was supposed to work out, because Deanna, she is a very slow technical wrestler. So Tony doing more of the classic, like maybe ode to women's wrestling would have worked better. But you do see that, at least in the story going in, Deanna did not want that side of Tony. She wanted the other side of Tony that she was familiar with.
Yeah. So, like, I was saying, like, how cool it would be if she started using, like, maybe a DDT as a finisher. Or maybe something where it's like an old school move and they start using it as devastating. Like, they go back to Jake Roberts, where every time she hits it, she knocks out her opponents. And that's like a callback to like old school type wrestling, where it's like, she's an old school character, give her an old school moveset to kind of round out her character a little bit more. And I think that would be perfect.
Yeah. But beyond that, I still had fun with this match. I definitely love the post interview from this match. Not the media scrum, but the post promo interview of Tony Storm finally warming up to Mariah, where most of the time Mariah was with her, she just kind of looked past her, ignored her, and then finally she pays attention to her because she's dressed like her.
It's so good. And she even gives her the title to hold. She's like, "Here, darling, hold this."
Yes. When they were leaving the ring. But I swear, it was backstage was just fantastic. Like, Tony is really, I mean, I'm gonna keep saying this. She's really morphing into this character. Don't know if she ever plays it outside, but she definitely is working on those slight tweaks. Especially how the way she says tattoo was hilarious.
Your tattoo. It's amazing. All right, let's move on to what I think is potentially match of the year. Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. I watched this match again last night and literally wrote a whole thing of notes on it.
Yeah, there was a lot to go through with that. I was just like, because I decided to watch Revolution at a bar. I didn't buy the pay per view, so I was thinking to myself, should I buy the pay per view to rewatch it again? Maybe I will. It was just kind of like maybe just not like right now.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind, I've got a few notes to go over because there
Go
was
for
a
it, man.
lot
Oh
of
wait,
stuff
we
that happened
didn't
in this
go
match.
over on our predictions. We both went with Deanna and Tony in the
We did.
Yeah.
You went with Deanna? I thought you went with Tony.
No, I thought you went with. No, I thought we. No, I went with Deanna.
Oh, so we both went for Deanna. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, we move on to Takeshita versus Will Ospreay. Ospreay's first official match under the AEW, as part of the AEW roster.
As an official AEW signee, yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a lot of notes for this match, so I'm gonna go through them kind of quickly, so we're not here forever. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, I said go for it. Go ahead, lay out your notes.
Okay. So I have in the middle of the match, Ospreay hits a springboard forearm to Takeshita, then hits a corkscrew kick. Takeshita fights back with a fireman's carry, sit out facebuster, a running stick kick, and a tope con hero to the outside. Ospreay runs up Takeshita's chest and hits an enziguri. Takeshita then hits a German suplex. Hits the ropes, and Ospreay counters that into a Spanish fly. Takeshita and Ospreay, dude, they trade these forearms so fucking much, and two of them look like knockout shots. Like, it was devastating. Ospreay hits a Tiger Bomb, goes for an Os Cutter when Takeshita counters that into a Blue Thunder Bomb for a close kick out. Love that spot. Ospreay hits a Chikinando kick on Takeshita in the corner. Goes for Hurricanrana, but Takeshita blocks. And goes for a top rope brainbuster, but Ospreay and Takeshita hit a sheer drop brainbuster with Ospreay sliding down the top rope and fucking up Ospreay's back.
Ooh,
Ospreay hits a stun. Yeah, dude, that bruise was insane. Ospreay hits a stun dog millionaire, then a poison Rana. Takeshita blocks a Stormbreaker attempt into a sit out tombstone and a German suplex combo. Ospreay fires up and hits a running hidden blade to the face of Takeshita, and Takeshita kicks out at 1. Ospreay counters a power drive knee from Takeshita into a Styles Clash, then hits a Tiger Driver 91 and a hidden blade for the victory. Holy shit, that kick out at 1, the crowd was insane on that spot right there.
It was fantastic too. Like, normally that knee Takeshita is able to finish anybody off with, but the fact that Ospreay kicks off at that, and then I like when you take the knee off. I love that little bantering between the commentary, like Excalibur saying this is going to be bone on bone, and then Don goes, "This is it's going to be over," and then Tony's trying to say something.
No,
yes.
What?
What? It was like he was slowly catching up with them. But beyond that, outside of those matches, outside of that commentary, the match really is showing that these two men, this was simply just, it honestly in a way like an exhibition fight, the way that Don is presenting this, just a simple fight between family. And the fact that these two were able to go against each other, like Takeshita clearly wanted to prove he was better. Ospreay proving that he is, Ospreay definitely was going in for friendly competition, but knowing it was about his top spot in the family. So I like the fact that there were some undercutting tones to this match. While two of these men are aligned in the same faction, they were still willing to knock each other's heads off. And man, that reverse Oz cutter into that Blue Thunder Bomb was fantastic.
Oh, so beautiful, man.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck people online saying, oh, these guys aren't selling. You're not watching the match. You're only taking a 10-second clip to create a fucking narrative that clearly you have no idea what you're talking about. Because if you watch the match, you clearly did not see that bruise on Ospreay's back, because that was effective into him trying to hit that Stormbreaker, which he was not able to do on 2 separate occasions. And you do see with Takeshita, there were moments where when he missed some hard-hitting strikes, it backfired to where he had to take more time into staying up when he wanted to hit that running knee, or when he wanted to do it again with the knee pad off. It's small bits of storytelling that if you really are wanting to enjoy wrestling, you're watching every minute of it because it's taking you in. If you're so busy trying to find something to criticize, then you clearly overlooked something that you missed because you're trying to make a point instead of just watch.
this is probably my match of the year so far, and
Yeah,
only
that's the
because
pay-per-view, obviously.
100%. This match was fast paced from the beginning. There was no build up. There was no feeling out process. They immediately went for each other, and
Mm-hmm.
I love matches like that. I love the shout outs to Sami Zayn, El Generico, which commentary brought up that was El Generico was Takeshita's first opponent in DDT.
Yeah.
So he tries to go for that top rope brainbuster. He hits the Tope Con Hero that El Generico does. The Blue Thunder Bomb, of course. And like, dude, that brainbuster was sick. And Don Callis on commentary saying, "Well, that's it. His back is done." Was hilarious.
Even in the interviews, like even the media scrums will show that bruise is still there. And then after that match was over, we see like them showing their hands of respect. And Kyle Fletcher's coming to the ring. He's all marching like very seriously, which is like he knows something we don't know. And then Excalibur comes in while Ospreay and Kyle are embraced each other. Turns out Tony Khan booked a match between the two of them for Dynamite.
And that match is gonna rule too.
It's gonna be amazing though, but I was just kind of like, why would you announce it during the pay-per-view? Why don't you just wait until the media scrum to do that? Because
I'm okay with it because it shows that like one, I like when like the announcers like say, "Oh, I'm hearing news on commentary on air." It feels like something that could always happen. Like you never know when the news or big news break's gonna happen.
That's true.
But
it was just kind of like because you had that little body language from Kyle Fletcher going to the ring, and then he drops it to embrace Will. It kind of felt to me that they were telegraphing something that just maybe because Will didn't know about this match. Maybe, I think he was told during the media scrum, but even then it was just kind of like, okay, that was like a weird moment for a second. It really reminded me a bit, but it took me. It was just like a quick reminder of what happened with Kyle and Roderick Strong. Kyle was mean mugging him and then drops it and embraces him. I think it was just something that should have been like, yeah, breaking news, but there should have been maybe like a follow up to it. Like maybe Tony should have said, wait, why was Kyle acting like that? And then Excalibur drops the news, kind of like the timing. But that's like small potatoes. It is just small potatoes.
I will say though, I like the idea of like Fletcher knowing that this match is going to happen, and that it wasn't just like a random match of like, oh, let's just put Ospreay and Fletcher together. One, they have so much history with each other going back to New Japan with the United Empire, but the idea of where does Fletcher lie in this? Is he going to reform United Empire with Ospreay, or is he going to betray Ospreay and continue down the Don Callis family? I have a theory that they're setting up Kyle Fletcher to be kind of a double, like not a double agent, but when Don Callis turns on Ospreay, he's going to join his friend that he's known forever over Don Callis, and then that's going to lead to hopefully Mark Davis coming back from injury, and then you have kind of United Empire together in AEW. It's like a great transition from the New Japan faction to AEW with the original 3 members.
I would like that. There's also like this nice little mini thing happening where Ospreay is, for some reason, he's going one-on-one against all his family members before he starts to branch out and finally do his own thing.
And that's the thing. That even on commentary, they said that Don Callis asked for this match because he's trying to, I guess, make his faction better by having them fight each other, which is kind of like what Blackpool Combat Club was doing. But I think this is going to...
But this way it's more with records, though, because Ospreay technically does not have a record in the standings right now. So if Ospreay ends up going through everyone in the standings, he's almost in a way, when it comes to the ranking system, he can kind of be in that spot where he can challenge for a belt over all the other guys.
Dude, I hope at All In we get Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland for the title.
Ooh.
That match would be insane.
It'd be fantastic, but then it's gonna fucking hurt on who you want to win.
That's the thing, though. That's the great thing to have. You're like you have so much talent there that you're like, I don't know who I want to win and who I want to lose.
Also, it really Swerve and Ospreay have so much history together. in matches. They're fantastic. Yeah, if they do main event at All In together, they will 100% put on an absolute banger. Immediate 5 stars before the first bell.
Because the great thing about Swerve and Osprey is their styles are so similar, but they have kind of different tweaks. Like Swerve is so smooth in the ring, how he goes from one move to another in like a sequence, which I love.
Yeah.
Osprey will do that as well, but he will add in great moments of drama and fire ups and that fighting spirit and forearms and strikes and shit that Swerve will bring back to him. That they are going to have a perfect chemistry with each other.
Yeah, they are.
So yeah, to me, this is match of the night right here. But let's move on to the co-main event, the AEW World Championship 3-way match. Champion Samoa Joe takes on Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. I will say I'm so glad that the crowd was still invested in the rest of the matches, because they could have easily been gassed out after Ospreay and Takeshita.
Yeah, no, I think this crowd was smart to realize they knew what match was going on last. So they had to make sure they didn't go crazy with those. I mean, there wasn't a lot of fight forever chance for the Takeshita and Ospreay match, but they did pop up. So it was good. Like, this is a crowd that realizes we're here, we're gonna get some great matches. And and this match was kind of no different, though. One thing I did like about this match was in the intro, while they were being announced, I liked on the screen of Hangman Page when he's being announced, it says he absolutely lost it.
Yeah, he's losing his mind. Yeah, it's great. I love that the writers are having fun with, like, every time Hangman comes out, he has a unique banner.
Yeah, that's been the whole thing with him since, like, earlier days in the Daily Place. Like, yeah.
But this match was fantastic, by the way. I love the story of, like, Swerve and Hangman cannot get out of each other's way. They want to focus on each other. And Joe is there like, no, you will pay attention to me. I am the world champion. And every time that it looks like Swerve is going to win, Joe comes in and stops there. Every time it looks like Hangman's going to win, Joe has to run in and stop it again. It's a really great way to build a three-way match around all three guys are in the ring. They're wrestling all at the same time, but Joe has to always come in and stop these pinfalls because he knows how much Swerve and Hangman hate each other.
Yeah. And also, in a way, for Joe, it saves him a lot of energy not having to beat the hell out of either man, because they're going to do that to each other. But still, as the top champion, he's going in there to reassert his dominance in that match, which is why I liked when, in that little stare-off, Hangman and Swerve wanted to immediately throw each other the first punch.
The headbutt?
It was just like, fuck y'all, I'm at And then, and then when you see moments of Hangman and Swerve doing a bit of work together, like when they powerbomb Joe off of the 2 times when they both failed to do it individually, and then they do it together, it's kind of like a great moment. But then once one of them went for the cover, it's like, no, this is not happening.
The end of the match is very intriguing as well, because Hangman is caught in Joe's Kakita clutch.
Yes.
And commentary, he taps out. Commentary brings up a great point. Did Hangman do that to save himself from further harm? Or did he do it out of spite because he did not want Hangman or Swerve to have the championship?
One criticism of that is that note could have been great if Hangman was actually facing towards Swerve. Unfortunately, his back was towards him, so it's really not that. It's a great note to bring up there, and the fact that Hangman said he's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure Swerve is not champion, and even if it means lying on his own sword or throwing himself on his own sword to do that, if the position had just been changed where Hangman had rolled over to try to get out, and then he sees Swerve coming in and then taps out immediately, that would have been very fantastic storytelling.
Yeah.
But when Swerve has that broken heart look on his face, even though Hangman is a little choking, he can maybe give a little bit of a smirk, knowing that it wasn't Swerve that won the title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just little tweaks there. Otherwise, still a great match, great storytelling there. I know you wanted Swerve to win. I know a lot of people wanted Swerve to win, but for me, knowing that this was a 3-way match going in, and the fact that AEW did not want to have a definitive winner between Swerve and Hangman, it honestly felt to me, at least looking at the fine line that Joe was going to retain, despite my personal thing of him at least wanting uh to at least a pay per view title defense. I'm not looking for Joe to have a 200 or 300-day reign like almost close to Kenny, Mox, and MJF. But I want him to
Mhm.
at least have at least a few pay per view defenses under his belt to establish his reign as champion. So then
Yeah.
when he does finally drop it, to which I did theorize that now that Wardlow has won, I theorized this to a fan. Now that Wardlow has won the scramble, what if Wardlow, instead of waiting to maybe Wardlow might challenge him at Dynasty, or maybe challenge him at Double or Nothing, or won't even wait, challenge him at Big Business to get for the championship, and then he drops it to Wardlow.
Wow.
Because
That's
what better
interesting.
way to not only have Joe go up against a very formidable opponent, but one who has beaten him over the TNT Championship, who made Joe pass out to win the TNT Championship, and someone that Joe, even though Joe's like, yeah, that was last time I'm world champion. Wardlow right now, he's on a house of fire, and if Wardlow is champion, you can at least build some good contenders against him until the moment comes when Adam Cole is back from injury.
See, the idea I had now, after seeing the three-way match, is I think Joe and Swerve still have a storyline to tell, which is, hey, you tapped out Hangman. You never beat me. Like, you never pinned me. You never made me tap out. So
that is an added one. But from the media scrum, Joe is pretty much simple. You want to challenge me, work your way up the rankings. He's not going to make any exceptions to that rule. So that's why I feel with Wardlow having a number one contender shot, he's more of the first person in line. Although I'll need to take a look at the ranking system now after the pay-per-view to actually see where Swerve stands in. If he's still in that top 5, then there is that argument there.
Swerve should be still in top 5. I mean, he was undefeated, and this is his only loss.
He and Hangman were both
get
undefeated.
pinned.
Yeah, he and Hangman are still undefeated. They were undefeated going in.
Yeah. I think three-way matches really... Because, I mean, technically, I guess this would be a loss on both their records, Swerve and Hangman. But Swerve at least can say that my one loss, I didn't get pinned. I didn't get beat at all. So, in his mind, he never got defeated.
Well, exactly. Oh, wait. I just remembered something. We're forgetting something that was shown during the pay-per-view. The promo return of Pac.
Oh, I didn't see the kickoff show.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was on the kickoff show. Yeah, on the kickoff show, there was that little promo that Pac is coming back to AEW, and he's definitely going to be one hell of a splash there. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought that happened during the pay-per-view. That's why I'm like, oh, no, we should talk about that.
Yeah, no, it happened during the pre-show. I didn't watch it, but I heard a lot about it. But if you're ready to move on, by the way, we both picked Joe to walk out as champion in this match.
No, you picked Swerve. I picked Joe.
No,
or did I
went with... You changed my mind because I went with Joe because I picked Wardlow to win the scramble match. I said that my heart was going with Swerve, but my pick was Joe.
Okay, all right. Okay,
all right, and then our final...
I really thought that... Go ahead, keep going.
Fine. Our main event, Sting's final match, Tornado Tag Team match for the AEW Tag Team Championship, Sting and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks. Let's talk about that awesome final Showtime promo or a video package. Beautifully done, man. Showing kind of, the biggest moments of Sting's career leading up to now. I love that his sons come out dressed as different versions of Sting. His oldest son comes out as the...
That's amazing.
Yeah, comes out
Sorry,
as...
Go ahead.
No, it's fine. his older son comes out dressed as the American, the red, white, and blue Sting. His young son comes out rocking the Wolfpack makeup, and then you hear what is it Metallica?
Yeah, seek and search and destroy. No, seek and destroy. Seek and
Seek and
destroy.
destroy. Yeah, hits, and the Coliseum implodes when they hear that, man. And it was amazing. A great way to introduce Sting for his final match.
No, I definitely enjoyed that. Yeah, this was truly a love letter. I mean, I really wish they could have gotten more footage of Sting's career to really play more with that with the final showtime.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, just like seeing some of those, some of those photos, he's worked as NWA champ, winning the NWA title, his work in Japan, that partnership, that friendship he formed with Great Muta was fantastic. And I even like they add into the little final showtime the Young Bucks attacking him to really add into that fuel to that fire. So when you did see Sting come in there, I did love the fact that it's Sting, Darby, and his sons doing a beatdown on the Bucks.
Yes,
it was amazing.
By the way, before we get into this match, I want to remind everyone who keeps complaining that the Young Bucks are Sting's final opponents. Sting chose them to be his final opponents. He wanted this to be his final match, so stop complaining.
They'll never stop complaining. Even if you explain to them that they were the right fit, because I've seen some people say, why can't we have some younger teams or have them go against some young talent like what most veterans would do? And Sting definitely said he wanted to put over young talent. But here's the thing, in his last match, it works well for him, especially for a veteran, because the Bucks, they are 2-time AEW champions, which if they won, this would have been their third time winning the belt. Mm-hmm. But also for the Bucks, they're very well experienced enough to where they can be able to work the pace of the match. So Sting and Darby can still have spots, can have time to get stuff ready. They can definitely get the crowd to boo and hate them, which they've been doing with this EVP character stance they've done. And also, they're huge fans of Sting as well. I mean, if you were a fan and you were a wrestler and you got a chance to be handpicked to be the last opponent for a wrestler you have idolized as a child, the last thing they're going to be thinking about is what these fucking trolls are thinking. Like, oh, it shouldn't be you guys. You guys can shove it in your mouths, okay? Or in your opinions. But I don't mean just your opinions. I mean any orifice that you guys can stuff it, because to be honest, this was a great match. This was fantastic. Yes, there's going to be some spots that people were definitely online complaining about, but here's the thing.
I know exactly the spot you're talking about.
I know the spot I'm talking about, but even then, the Bucks were perfect for this because they are the right heels. They are an experienced tag team, and this would not hurt them in the slightest when they took that loss. Because guess what? The Bucks will simply just come back meaner than ever, even building up more with their
They'll probably put themselves in the tournament as number one seed.
They'll probably give themselves a bye in this tournament to be like, we just fought the tag team champions, so we're going to beat up right now. So we're going to be we're going to give ourselves a bit of a vacation time. Everyone else can enjoy themselves. That's how they building themselves as great heels to set up actual good teams to have wrestling matches.
So getting into this match was crazy. I love the spots that these guys took. We got to get to the big one real quick.
But I did like the table spots that both of them did. Darby Allin taking that Falcon Arrow and then Sting for that suplex off of the stage area.
Dude, I was so scared for Sting taking that suplex off the stage.
Especially seeing that it was mainly his back that got the bump of it. His legs, I did see his feet get touched to the floor though, but at least he wasn't too hurt from that. And it was a great moment to really separate Sting and Darby Allin. Once Sting was taken out from there, it's simply Darby against the Bucks. And I definitely appreciate those pane glasses they brought out. Like they're setting one up, and then you see Sting using his back. He breaks one just to show how serious he is to the Bucks to scare them. And I even love that Sting gets to throw both of the Bucks over the barricade.
Yes. So let's get to the big moment this controversial moment. But like I said, if Darby wants to do this, it's his choice. He is a grown ass man. Darby gets this Jeff Hardy size ladder out of the ring and sets up this pane of glass that is on a stack of steel chairs.
No, it's laid out
right?
like a table on chairs.
Yes.
I think it was four chairs lined up. No. The pane glass. Six chairs. Yes, six. That's what I'm trying to say. Three on both sides. Yeah, three on both sides. Yeah, 6 chairs, 3 on both sides, and was laid very close together. And then, of course, Darby was really bringing that ladder all the way towards the edge so he can be able to just do that nice swan dive, not to add any extra mustard over it.
Now, I've heard conflicting reports. Was that real glass?
I doubt that's real glass. The way how fast it broke, there was no way it was real glass.
I don't know, because from that height, anything will break like that. And the fact that Darby's immediately, his elbow, his arms, everything were cut with glass, makes me feel like that at least was real glass.
I mean, there is some differences of glass you can make. I know with pane window glass, you can do at least a thin layer of a thin sheet to where it still looks strong, but then can break easily. I know with tempered glass, it's a little more reinforced, so it won't break apart that fast. I know with sugar glass, you'd have to, if you wanted to hold steady and not break immediately, you'd have to keep it in a certain temperature and at least in a cold temperature. So then when you do place it out, the temperature, if the room temperature or the heat, will definitely make it more malleable to break. Regardless, though, when that glass happened, yes, Darby was well aware of this. I think everyone's suddenly forgetting. I was seeing some people were saying, "Oh, CM Punk was right." No, there's a difference between a wrestler doing something to overlook somebody and a wrestler wanting this. Both occasions, Darby wanted that spot to happen. To me, maybe with the positioning that I think should have been changed, or at least not having that big ass ladder,
Yeah. But I know, I know a lot of people are saying it'll shorten his career. Like, okay, Darby said he doesn't plan on wrestling long anyway, and I know people say he can't do this stuff every week. He's not. He's picking and choosing when to do these big moves. Yeah. It's not like Jeff Hardy, where back in the day he would just do random ass stunts on fucking live TV. He chose Sting's final match, the main event of a pay-per-view, a championship match, to pull out something like this.
I think that's just it. I think these were people looking for issues to complain. I did come across one person on Twitter who was saying that they were showing clips of the audience, like getting a little like some of the glass that splashed into the audience. Now there was a legit concern there, but then the person ended up going on saying that it was negligence on AEW's part. How the fuck is that negligence? I'm sorry. Darby has no control of where the glass is going to land. That's why, to me, I'm like, if you really wanted to put concern, you can criticize how the positioning was of the glass, of that little spot. If it was more towards the middle, because you clearly can see the ladder was more towards the corner of the ring. Mm-hmm. If the ladder was more towards the middle, then maybe, and then when Darby hit that spot, glass was going to come across. Like, to me, there's two criticisms: the positioning and where the glass was, and how high the ladder was.
Yeah, but also
that's the ground. And also, I'm pretty sure AEW was going to make sure if there was anyone that had gotten cut, they were going to make sure they got immediately seek medical attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, I came across one person that said, "This is the most extreme I've seen AEW, and it's ridiculous." I'm sorry. I have been to GCW shows, and if you've seen GCW shows, they use light fucking tubes, and
they don't give a fuck.
I've seen them, and not just that, but in more smaller, crowded, intimate areas than the Queensboro Coliseum. Okay, you see a wrestler come in with a light tube shaped like a fucking Buster sword, and then smack somebody with it. You don't have the ground to go on and say it's negligence. It's small fucking potatoes. AEW is not stupid. They knew they knew ahead of time that Darby was going to need a lot taken care of, and they knew if there was going to be some audiences hurt. Guess what? They'll make sure that they get medical attention.
And more than likely, more than likely, I'll be surprised if they didn't do this. They probably made some fans sign wagers who were in the front row because they knew the glass was coming.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sorry. If you see this pane of glass coming towards you, I'm moving back a few
Or at least
steps.
grabbing, or at least if I have a sweater or a jacket or a poster, I'm covering my face and any parts of my body. That glass was there for a good that glass was up there for a good 5 to 7 minutes into that match.
Yep. So you had plenty of time to move back.
I understand if someone was legitimately concerned about these fans, they went on Twitter and said this, then okay, you have a right to feel that way. But then if you're going to twist it into bashing the company, no offense, if you're sitting in that front row, guess what? And once you see that happen, you can move back. But you know that didn't happen because you had fans with their phones out wanting to capture the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So it is on both parties, the audience and the company. No one is saved from this.
Nope. But overall,
you can keyboard your war. You can be keyboard warriors as much as you want. The fact is, if you see somebody at a show filming something of a spot that they know that it's gonna come a little too close for them, they've already put themselves in danger. I've seen at a GCW show a wrestler did a top rope suplex from a corner. The wrestler's legs hit somebody in the crowd to where he clipped him on the side to where the fan had to leave in order to get medical attention because his glasses had clipped his skin. Okay, and he wasn't doing anything. He was trying to get out of the way as much as possible. But then at the same time, this is GCW. It's a smaller venue. They don't have much choice there.
But also, I hate that people will say that like AEW constantly does death matches, but they do death matches in a way where either if they do it on TV, it's one that like deserves it.
Yes.
And like has earned the Texas Street Fight or whatever they want to call it.
The rivalry is built up to the point to where they need this release, this catharsis.
Or two, they'll save it for pay-per-views. And that's it. And that's fine. I like this type of wrestling. As John Moxley calls it, I love garbage wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, one of my favorite moments.
We've witnessed real garbage wrestling, and these fans want to come out holier than thou, going like, "Oh, with all my years as a wrestling fan." I'm sorry, if you're gonna say all my years, you better start at where you watched wrestling. Because I grew up during the days of WCW and the Monday Night War, where I've seen some garbage shit. Mm-hmm. WCW in the 2000s, for Christ's sakes, with their weird-ass gimmick matches. Vince Russo in WWF, WCW, and TNA coming up with the dumbest ideas of gimmicks.
Judy Bagwell on a pole.
Not just that, but also in storyline rights. In WWF, he did the whole thing with Terry Reynolds pretending to be pregnant, who got hurt almost like she got a miscarriage, and then all of a sudden comes back later that night saying it was all fake. No offense, guys. Wherever your fucking standards are, you either better lower them because that is dog shit. But this is just me shooting out to all those randos.
But one of my favorite moments in this entire match was the Young Bucks talking to Sting, and they're saying, "I'm not sorry. We hate you."
Then they do that double super kick, and I love how Sting just stands there. And then they realize, oh shit, it didn't work. They go again.
Dude, just the "we hate you" moment was hilarious.
And then I like when they did the EVP trigger. The first time it was a hit, but then the second time they shake his hand, it's like, "Pleasure doing business with you." Boom! And then that was a fucking 1 count from Sting, which was awesome.
Dude, Sting took a fucking hip toss into a glass.
Yeah.
Which was insane. I'm pretty sure that was sugar glass.
I'm pretty sure about that as well. I mean, there's not much anybody can do.
And to my surprise, Sting and Darby retained the titles. I thought Young Bucks were going to win here.
I thought the Bucks were going to win too, but you know what? I'm not even mad about that outcome.
No.
I love the fact that Sting gets to walk out as champion, gets to retire as champion, go out on his shield. So it's amazing, honestly. I mean, I've said this even before his retirement match. I've been saying this since during AEW's run. Sting is one of the best examples on how a wrestler how an older wrestler is used in the company and how they're able to really run themselves out. I mean, people, if those fans wanted to bring up CM Punk, I mean, hell, CM Punk was given everything in AEW. And yes, they were blame on both sides, but he fucking fumbled, honestly. CM Punk fumbled.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of his, but even I can admit, he fumbled himself on his second time back.
Yep. So at the end of this match, I said, "You've got everything." I was watching the match. I was like, "Man, this match has everything: tables, panes of glass, elder abuse. You have it all." Ricky Steamboat took a super kick, and Ric Flair took a double super kick.
Oh yeah, like right there. And I like one thing I definitely did love was how they were before the matches. They showed Ric Flair coming out, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. They showed Magnum TA. They showed
Nikita Koloff,
and then there were some fans who showed them some video that Lex Luger was there as well, which is amazing. Like they really were trying to bring out some of the veterans who Sting is close with.
Yeah, which is great because at the end of the match, Sting and Darby hold up the titles. It's a really, really good moment. Sting is there with his sons. I wish they had more time because Sting's last appearance is him saying, "Well, I'm getting my cues," and it cuts off.
I know. Just everyone was like, "Wait, is that it? Is that it?" I mean, I get. Even Darby was kind of like, "We got 3 minutes left, man. See what you're gonna say."
Yeah, dude, I do love that the AEW put their full 9 or 10 minute closing speech of Sting out on YouTube. I'm not sure if you watched that or not. It's really fucking good. But Sting is talking to Darby at one point. He goes, Darby goes, "Yeah, I'm about to head to the hospital soon. So can we speed this up, please?"
God, and even it was hilarious too that in the media scrum, Darby was kind of like, "Wait, what's happening at Big Business? Oh yeah, you're facing Jay White. Oh, I just got the medical clear from the doctor to go." Yeah, and I love how he says like, "Well, I just got the all clear from the doctor to go to climb Mount Everest." So,
dude, Darby is someone who he's gonna be this generation's Jeff Hardy.
I doubt he's going to be anywhere near Jeff Hardy at this point. Darby is really he's very, very self-aware on that his career is not going to last this long. He's not looking to stay in the wrestling business like Jeff was or anybody else.
I mean the popularity wise.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he's very content. I mean, honestly, he feels he's honestly kind of like he says I don't know if he said this in AEW interviews or in other interviews, but he says he's kind of content to retire before he's in his 40s.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, fair to him. I mean, if he wants to, go all out in wrestling, give everything he can, have fun, and then ride off and climb Mount Everest or live his best life, doing parkour or, doing fucking motocross or whatever he wants to do. Yeah, whatever he wants to do, man, he's earned it. Darby's a really great wrestler. By the way, I love the shout out to Cody a few weeks ago when he was talking to the Bucks about changing the world. He goes, "You guys didn't even want to hire me. Thank God there was one
EVP that had some sense." Yeah.
I'm not talking about Kenny Omega, which was a great shout out. So that's pretty much everything for AEW Revolution. In my opinion, one of the best pay-per-views of the year so far.
Yes. Like I said earlier, this is a great start for AEW for this year. Mm-hmm. And the fact that Tony has announced that before Double or Nothing, we're getting another pay-per-view, AEW Dynasty in April.
Yeah.
So
I love the fact that we're getting more pay-per-views because that gives them less time to set up storylines. So storylines won't feel as slowly paced as before.
Yeah, that's true, and definitely it's definitely coming more and more to light that we are definitely getting 9 pay-per-views from AEW. I mean, because right now, now with Dynasty announced, let's see, Revolution just happened. We got Dynasty coming up. We're gonna have Double or Nothing. Then later on, there's going to be All In Wembley. Then All Out later and then you got Wrestle Dream. and then Full Gear, and then World's End. That's 8 already. So unless there's going to be another one announced between Double or Nothing and All In,
which I could see.
yeah. I mean, unless Tony Khan decides to make Fight for the Fallen a legit pay-per-view, then. Because right now, Fight for the Fallen Starter Fest still feel like one. Like I think they should be television events, honestly. I think it's better off that way.
I do think that with them increasing their pay-per-views amount throughout the year, I'm pretty sure they're getting an HBO Max deal or a Max deal where
he did
they're
say
gonna
that they're in talks. They have been in talks with Warner Bros. Discovery.
So if that's the case, where like for a certain amount of price you get AEW pay-per-views on Max, that's a great deal. Just like with Peacock with the W pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what this year in AEW brings, because it seems like the negative kind of past years they've been having, they're slowly getting back around to rebuilding. Like this is a rebuilding
refocusing themselves. I mean, for Christ's sakes, they're now in their 5th year. I am willing to stick with the company that's just trying to figure themselves out over a company that's been around for over 50, 60 decades, 60 years, and still struggle on understanding what their audience wants.
Mm-hmm.
I get it nowadays with the age of the internet, with social media, it's really easy for criticism to respond to everything. But to me, if AEW is able to find its identity, stick to it, and then tweak it every now and then, I think they will be legit I mean, I always see them as legit competition, but as long as they continue to keep focusing on themselves, hopefully I would love to see them hopefully they're going to be around 5 more years from now. Hopefully when we get to 2030, they're still around. Honestly.
I mean, hell, if TNA can survive the fucking Hogan and Bischoff era, anything.
And the Carters, Anthem, the constant changing on television networks.
Scott D'Amore being fired for some odd reason.
Then they can survive this. I mean,
yeah.
I think Tony just needs to realize that he needs to truly become more of a boss. And if he just can't, then he can get somebody else to be the CEO, to be the boss in charge. He doesn't have to sell it to a sporting company like TKO. He can have someone else with experience in the business. He can still be the guy he can still be in charge. He can still help around, but it's just more of keeping more, oh my God, not too many cooks in the kitchen, but getting more experienced hands around so he can learn from.
Hell, I would be okay if when Bryan Danielson decides to slow down, if he just uses him as an advisor backstage.
Well, I think even the media scrum, Tony Khan did say I think Sting even said that Tony has offered Sting to still be around an advisory sense for the company. Like it was just like a line dropped around, but there's no full plan on what's happening just yet. Maybe Sting,
I mean, hell, having a kind of a group where it's like Tony Khan, Bryan Danielson, Sting, like these guys, Jerry Lynn, these guys who know wrestling inside and out, and that they can book matches together. I think that would be the perfect thing.
And also the fact that Christopher Daniels has been doing a good job, like handling talent and helping with ROH, really keeping that back on the ground.
Yep. And it feels like with Samoa Joe as world champion, he is really the perfect, I guess, locker room leader to keep the guys backstage kind of calm, because it was him who broke up the fight with CM Punk and Jack Perry. It was him who told Punk, "Hey, let's go out there, let's have a match, come back here." Like Samoa Joe knows about backstage areas, and he knows how to be a professional backstage. I think that's someone you want as your world champion.
Yeah, I think he's worked in already multiple companies to where he has seen where egos have gotten the best of people to where it's ended a lot of crap in the back room. I mean, Joe knows at this point that he sees a young company here, he sees talent, people with work. And yeah, stepping up to be that guy there is like, hey, let's be pros, okay? Let's not be fucking
Mhm.
children, and let's get on with it.
Exactly. All right, guys. So, Ryan, where can people find you online before we head out?
Well, you guys can find me if you still want to, if throughout this nonchalance temper tantrum rant, which I'm pretty sure I will even say this was, if you guys still want to hear me talk wrestling, I have a podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast. It is called the Ramblings and Rages Wrestling Ramblings and Rages podcast. It's under the Shimo Media Network. Just look that up. You'll see some of our new episodes we've had out this year. We did a best of and worst of 2023. James and I did our own kind of fantasy booking, or kind of like in the writers' room where he pitched angles. James did an episode where he pitched how story would finish his story. I did a pitch on how retroactively I could rebook the Dark Order as a top heel faction. Now,
Ooh.
it may not be the way that everyone likes it. Now, the way I see the Dark Order might not be the same as everyone else sees it, but I think that's kind of one of the interesting things about myself, James, and Brenton. We all have different ideas on where we want to take on how we see wrestling going through, who our favorites are, what opinions we have, and especially on our wrestling knowledge. We're never going to agree on a lot of things. That's what I like about our dynamics. We're never going to agree on certain stuff. And just most recently, we have a top 10 episode on kayfabe couples and real life couples that we did for Valentine's Day. And currently, right now, we are doing our own March Madness bracket styling for the best and worst gimmicks. We're in the midst of recording them, so they should be coming out sometime later this month in March.
Hell yeah, man. So go ahead and check that out. Where can people find you? Find the podcast, you already said, right?
Yes, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, Amazon Music. You can even check out Radio Overcast, Pocket Cast, and Radio Public. Pocket Cast. Wait. No, Pocket Cast. Yeah, I get that wrong sometimes.
All right. Thank you for joining me, Ryan. If you guys did enjoy this, please hit the like button, subscribe to Nerd Entertainment Network down below. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys soon. Peace.